Hey YouTube. So today I want to talk about an article that I saw online last night, and the news broke yesterday. And the news was regarding Wells Fargo. Wells Fargo being hit with a $1 billion fine because of predatory lending during the 2008 housing crash, and of course prior to that. And $1 billion fine for a financial institution who has a portfolio mix of all types of ways that money and income comes into their financial institution is very, it won't even make a blemish to their shareholders' pockets. And what do I mean by that? The reason why their shareholders, the individuals who are at higher management at Wells Fargo, it won't make a big difference is because financial ignorance is $1 billion industry. I see a lot of people talking about that now, but I'm going to give you some history. I actually did, I was talking about that topic back in, I want to say 2012, 2013, 2011. I can't remember. I wrote a blog article. After this video, I will link it underneath here. And in that article, I talked about financial ignorance plaguing. At that time, we had $1 billion deficit in regards to people who are in debt with credit and with credit, all types of credit cards, auto loans, student loans, or what have you. And I gave a source piece so people can see for themselves. It's a U.S. Treasury report, I believe. Don't quote me, but it's a governmental report that basically talks about how much debt individuals hold in this country, public, private, or what have you. And back then it was in the billions. Now we are in the trillions. And so Wells Fargo, just so you know, I'm just a lady on YouTube talking. Don't listen to me. Do the research yourself. Go on Wells Fargo website. And since Wells Fargo is a publicly traded company, go look at their annual report. Now, their annual report will basically state their financials for the year. Now, they have what is called a 10K. A 10K is their annual report, and then, of course, they publish their quarterly reports. So if you look at Wells Fargo quarterly reports and you see the billions and billions and billions of dollars that they make, you will see that that 1 billion fine is like a gnat. It's like a gnat. And we all know, if you know what a gnat is so small. It's like smaller than a mosquito. So that 1 billion fine doesn't mean anything. And the reason why is because financial institutions, I've been talking about this for the past couple of videos, they have the authority to print money on demand. And I'm not talking about the Federal Reserve. I'm talking about financial institutions that lend you money, which is what they did. They lended people money who could not afford to buy homes or what have you. I'm not going to go into, they bailed out the banks, but they didn't bail out the consumers. That's not my argument here. My argument is that they understand that they can underwrite loans to people. And like I said, Wells Fargo is in a lot of different industries besides retail banking. They got the mortgages, they got the investment services, they do private student loan lending. I mean, the list goes on and on, the laundry list of stuff that they do. But of course, the fine was because of the stuff that they did on the real estate side, the real estate lending, how they were predatory towards individuals. But these lending institutions know, and this is what I've talked about before, that they don't need to have money in the bank. And I need to do a video on fractional reserve, how much money institutions can lend out based on the money that you all put into the bank. And so there's so many ways that I want to go because, like I said, financial ignorance is a billion-dollar industry. See, they can lend you money and don't have to have the money in the bank. And see, the problem is that many people will take on loans, will take on credit, will take on debt, and they have to have the money to pay. And so that's why I've been saying in the past couple of videos, in order to not be a victim or preyed upon, you have to understand all these moving objects: economics, the monetary system, capitalism in this country, credit, debt. See, so many people, goes back to what I said, people don't know what they don't know. And so what happens is they are relying on information that they think they know. So when it comes to credit, people think that, oh, I just have to have a higher credit score. And then once I get a higher credit score, see, they can't prey upon me. Nah, that don't work like that. Because it goes back to, like I said, they're always going to lend people money. But get this, and this is where I said I wanted to go with this also. You can get a student loan from them because they do private student loan lending. You can get a auto loan from them because they underwrite auto loans. But you can't get a business loan from them. There are people right now who got Wells Fargo banking accounts because a lot of times these large institutions have relationships with large employers. So what they do is they offer perks. So your employer will say, if you bank with Wells Fargo, they will waive all these types of things. Your checking there will be no fee on checking and all these other perks. And so the person who has the job is just like, hey, oh, well, I'm going to, bank at Wells Fargo. The same way with me. I remember starting my career many, many moons ago, back in the mid 90s. And at that time, I had a bank account with a neighborhood bank that was around the corner from my house where I lived, growing up in the city of Newark. My mother banked there. At that time, they didn't even have ATM machines. That's how archaic and neighborhood they were like. I mean, the type of bank they were. So in the mid 90s, of course, people had ATM machines at banks. I mean, they've had them since the 80s. But during that time, that was the bank that I had. And I remember starting my career, and it was with a very large firm in New York City. I remember starting my career at the World Financial Center. For those who are, from the New York City area, tri-state area, and even if you're not, you are familiar with the World Trade Center that no longer sits there. But at that time, World Trade Center was there, and there was an adjacent piece called the World Financial Center. And the World Financial Center is where I worked at a large firm. A lot of the major investment houses, Morgan Stanley was there. I mean, the list goes on. Of course, Cantor Fitzgerald. Okay. I don't I don't know why you're talking about an LLC or whatever, wrong channel. But anyway, I remember when we got our packet for being a new employee. And Bank of America was the choice bank that they recommended. And I mean, it's a no-brainer. I mean, I had, I'm looking at all the perks that Bank of America offered. I'm like, wow, free checking, ATM. I mean, keep in mind, I was still at a bank that didn't even have an ATM machine. So I'm looking at this, this list of all these services that they would offer a new banking customer. So I said it's a no-brainer. And so I became a customer of that bank. And that's the same way with Wells Fargo. But see, the caveat to all that is that right now, those people who have accounts with Wells Fargo, they can't even go to Wells Fargo, start a business, and get a business line of credit from Wells Fargo. See, that's what I'm saying. Financial ignorance is a $1 billion industry. They'll give you a private student loan. They'll give you an auto loan. They'll give you credit cards. But you try to get something that's going to help you build wealth for yourself. They'll even give you probably a predatory real estate loan, And so I say this to say, how do you avoid being a victim when you refuse to learn the rules? See, so many people, they don't want to learn the rules. They want to stay in a place of victimhood, or either they want to think that, okay, well, this is all I need to do. I only need to work on my credit, and I did a video on that and saying that credit and debt, they work the same. I'm an advocate of using debt and leveraging debt to be able to create or purchase assets. But that is not a strategy that many people can use, because if you're not financially literate, not illiterate, but literate, or you don't have financial literacy, I should say, that's easier to say, you can get yourself in a jam. And see, that's what happened. This is not to knock those who became victims of those predatory loans. But see, when you know the rules, you'll know when something's fishy. I mean, think about it. Around 2004, 5, 6, 7, they were doing ninja loans. No income, no job, no assets. All you had to do was have a pulse. That's all you had to do. And that's why I love that movie. If you check out that movie called The Big Short, it basically explains how the big banks, the lending institutions, were able to pull this off to the American public. And so I was recently reading something where they said that now subprime loans now have a new name. So now imagine these individuals who are rebuilding their credit, getting out of debt, but will not expose themselves to other information because they really think that all they need is to do that. And I can't remember the name of it, but they said that subprime loans are now branded something else, because during the whole real estate debacle, subprime loans got such a bad rap that they had to give it a new name, and I can't think of the name. So I say this to say, become a student of this information, and you can Google it. I mean, Google new name or subprime loans or something, and you'll find some information. But how does all this, I mean, it goes back to what the title of this video, is titled. Financial ignorance is a $1 billion industry. I mean, these lending institutions, they know you better than you know yourself. It's all psychological. That's why I always say, I pity those who don't want to learn how to rebuild their credit. I pity them, and I understand Life is busy, and it's so easy to want to give someone the responsibility to rebuild your credit. But I can't lean on the fact of how the saying goes, give a man a fish, he eats for the day. Teach a man to fish, he eats the day and the next day. And that's how I look at when it comes to wanting to understand and become a student of this information, so you do not have to fall to these predatory things that these lending institutions are doing. Because like I said, they know you better than you know yourself. The credit industry professionals, and they even know that a customer who rebuilds their credit in a 2-year period with no education, they have not educated. Because remember, if you're going to get credit repair, you're not being educated. Most credit professionals, that's not what they do. They're not interested in educating you. They're interested in giving it what you want, is to increase your credit score. And so they know that in 2 years time, you'll be back where you started. Because why? Most people want to increase their credit score. If you ask the average person, why you want to increase your credit score? And they will tell, everything will be regarding getting back into consumer debt. Oh, because I want to get a better car. Oh, because I want to get a house. And all those things really just add more debt to what it is that you have. You hardly ever hear anyone ever say, well, I'm going to use my credit to be able to expand my business, or to start my business, or to invest in real estate. Or to be able to get business credit. Very rarely. The only time you hear conversations like that is when individuals are in a community where people are doing it. Like I know for myself, I'm in a local real estate group community. Like I said, the buy-in on the low end, I came in the low end, $2,000. That's why I almost laugh when people contact me and they don't even want to pay $40. And I'm just like, they don't want to pay nothing. But that's another story for another video. So I've paid $2,000 to be part of this community. And so that's all that's the only reason why they're using credit. They only using credit to leverage to get more of what they have. It's like, how can I get more credit? Because they looking at credit like, if I can get more credit, I can expand my real estate portfolio. I can expand this, I can expand that, and it's all building wealth for them. It's nobody looking at credit like, oh, I want to get an Apple laptop, or I just want to get a car, all that stuff gonna get you back into debt. And I don't want to seem preachy, but I really don't think a lot of people get it, and it almost saddens me where I get emails from people who are saying they're in a particular situation. You offer them a solution, and they don't want the solution, and I've said early part of this year, and don't get me wrong, I'm very, I appreciate those who still reach out to me, and they are still looking for, hey, how you doing, Ramon Williams? It's so funny you say Lo, because that's what they used to call my mother, but because her name was Lorraine. But thank you for that. I received that. And they say, oh, do you do any credit classes disputing items? And I don't really do that no more, because it is bigger stuff I'm doing. And so to still talk about how to take old addresses off your credit report, there's a video for that. There's a training for that. I've already created it. If individuals want to invest in it, I have it part of, my packaging of offerings where people can plug in and learn that. So I'm not no longer doing those types of trainings. I'm doing more things that are more higher level. I have told people that I am leveraging a resource that can help you rebuild your credit, and it's a training platform. Now, I have told people about that. Some people have taken action, and some people are just like, nah, that's all right, that's all right. And all I can say is, best of luck, best of luck to you. I just know that I'm not, Jimmy, I have no idea where the single ladies are. Have no idea. I think you're on the wrong channel. The single ladies aren't on this channel, but we're talking about financial literacy. So I don't want to bore you. But thanks for watching. But like I always like to end this video with, if this is the first time you're seeing me, my name is Brown-Phillips. I wrote a best-selling book in regards to credit and and debt collectors. So I'm not new to the conversations of what I just talked about today. I have over 200 videos here on this channel. So if you are somebody who is looking to rebuild their credit, increase their credit score, get rid of debt collectors, eliminate debt, you will find those videos here. My new initiative now is to help people use the credit and to be able to leverage it for bigger and better things. And so I know that this journey is going to be unfamiliar to most who are used to listening to me. And so a lot of people, I understand, will not be on this journey with me. So I'm always thankful that these videos allow me to reach other people, because I'm noticing that there are new people that I'm coming in contact with, and those people have, understood the vision. They are definitely on board to what I'm working on, and they decided to take action. So, like I said, I never disappointed if, what I'm talking about does not resonate with everyone. Because you will not, you will not satisfy everybody. But I know what I'm interested in talking about. This is stuff that I like. I like talking about this higher level stuff. I always have. I held back with talking about it because I knew that it was above the grade level of certain people. Like, if you're talking to people who just trying to, like, just got a repo, or or rebuilding their credits, nothing wrong with it. I'm not knocking those people. I understand. What I'm talking about, they're just not there yet, because they have to get on the road of rebuilding. And so it's not until they rebuild that they may be a little open. But even then, they still may not be. It does. You only get to the point of when you're ready to receive something different is when you're sick and tired of being sick and tired. And so those individuals will appreciate the information that I am putting out now. So once again, this is Lorelia. Please share this video, like it, leave me a comment. Thank you for those who have commented today. I don't take it for granted that you've spent some time to listen to what I've had to share here today. And I'm looking forward to sharing a lot of information with you, especially in regards to financial psychology, because I touched on it before, where I said that lending institutions, the executives, they know you better than you know yourself. Like people really think they know themselves because it's themselves. Like, oh, I know me because it's me. But nah. These people, they know you better than you know yourselves, and that's